You know, sometimes when people want to study economics as an escape from mathematics, we tell them that economics is not a safe landing for you if you don't like mathematics. So if you're struggling with mathematics in college, and then you think that when you get into the university, it's just safe for you to go and study a course like economics, please and please abort mission. Okay, because economics is incredibly mathematical, right? So in this particular class, we'll be looking at the concept of multipliers. I've done a video on multipliers before, like several years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, and I just thought, okay, let me just bring in one of the maybe a little bit of a complex model in economics, and then try to use to explain the concept of different multipliers. So in this class, we'll be looking at the government spending multiplier. We'll be looking at the tax multiplier, where the tax is lump sum and when the tax is per income, so the tax multiplier is going to be different. And then we'll be looking at the balanced budget multiplier and then the implications of these things. Okay, so now I don't think we are strange or unfamiliar with this equations on the board. So aggregate expenditure function is AE plus C plus I plus G plus NX. Obviously this is an open economy, and then consumption is equal to the baseline consumption, which is C naught, right? And then which is also called the autonomous consumption baseline. Autonomous consumption, then C1 is the marginal capacity to consume, right? Y is disposable income, which is already given as Y minus T, and T is equal to Ty, right? That is the tax is an income tax. It is not a lump sum tax. A lump sum tax is a tax imposed regardless of the income level. So let's say you were earning 50,000 naira, so the lump sum tax could be 5,000 naira. So that's 50,000 naira plus 50,000 naira minus 5,000 will give you your disposable income of 45,000. Now, if someone were earning 100,000, his own tax is also 5,000. If you're earning 300,000, your tax is also 5. If you're earning 7,000, your tax is also 5,000. Like, you understand? So like your tax does not really vary with your level of income. So that's a lump sum tax. But for an income tax, it is a tax that is dependent on your level of income. So which is what we are doing here, right? Then you have NX, which is your net export minus import. That's open economy. So X here, which is your export, is a function of two other variables: exchange rate and then foreign disposable income. Foreigners are the ones buying your export, right? So an increase in foreigners' income, of course, would increase their demand on average for your exports, right? Provided that your exports are things that they like to buy. Then exchange rates. I'll come back to this. Now for imports, imports is the baseline import level, that is import that is not as a result of exchange rates and domestic income. Then this is like a baseline export, that is export that is not as a result of exchange rate and foreign income. There are other variables that also affect the demand, the export demand. So here, um, the higher the income of people in an economy, the higher is the ability of those people to like import products. So that is why you have a positive relationship between M2 and YD. So that's why you have plus M2 YD here plus X2 plus X2 YDF foreign income. All right, so now what is the implication of exchange rate? Why is exchange rate having a positive relationship here? All right, so why is it plus XER, not Y, not minus XER? ER is what I used to denote the exchange rate. Okay, so why not minus? I think even investment is also this is baseline investment, then minus I, where R is the real interest rate. So like we are in for a long ride. Okay, so let's assume that your initially the interest rate was I think I have an example here, so I don't use another example. And if it is not here, then we bounce. Okay, let's say initially the interest rate was 200 naira to a dollar, and then it's now got to 1,000, about what we are experiencing now in Nigeria, to a dollar. Now, for exporters, Nigerian exports, if you add a dollar before, right? So what has happened here basically is an increment in the exchange rate. This is increase in exchange rate, right? This is increase in exchange rate, right? So now, which is same thing as the devaluation of your currency, like it has the same effect. The increase in exchange rate will make your currency to worth less than it used to. So you have if a foreigner had a dollar, he or she could only import a product whose price is 200 naira. But the importer has the same $1 now, and then when the exchange rate increased, right? So the importer can now buy 8 times what he was able to buy before. So that's said that an increase in exchange rate will do what? Will increase your export demand because your products are now cheaper. That's the point. So with the same amount of foreign currency, foreigners can buy more of your product now. So that's why you have plus XE, R. Now, how about for imports? Why is it negative, right? So initially, if you had 200 naira, you could buy a $1 priced product. So let's say this marker with $1. So with 200 naira, you can buy $1. So as a Nigerian, with 200 naira, you can import a marker of $1, right? But now you need 1,600 naira, 8 times the initial figure to be able to import the same marker. So an increase in your exchange rate, which is also the devaluation of your currency, right, is going to reduce imports. So that is why you have a negative relationship here between M1 and AR. Okay. So one thing is a multiplier. So the multiplier simply measures the rate at which an injection or a withdrawal, an injection into or a withdrawal even from an economy affects the equilibrium income or affects the equilibrium. So that being said, at equilibrium, y equals AE. At equilibrium, so it is important to state because that's the only point where your y is equal to your AE. Of course, you must have been introduced to this graph before. This is the 45-degree line where y equals AE, and then you have your what do you call it now? Your aggregate expenditure curve, something like this. So at equilibrium, something like this place now, y is equal to AE. Okay, so you have to before you start working. So let's say that the first one that we are trying to look for is the government spending multiplier. So I try to work towards the government spending multiplier. Government spending multiplier, right? Alright, so we begin to bring all of these things together. So y equals C is C naught plus C1, then YD, right? So YD is, remember that YD is y minus T. So I can just put y minus T, right? Then plus my investment is this guy now, I naught minus IR. So why is this a minus IR? R is the real interest rate. The higher the interest rate, the lower the investment, right? So that's why it is a negative relationship. And this is baseline investment. The investment as a result of many factors, right? So the investment that is not due to changes in real interest rates is your I naught. All right. So we have plus G. What is determining G is outside of this model. Then plus normally NX is meant to be X minus M. X minus M. Right. So Y equals C naught plus C1. So this is now going to be Y minus your T is TY, being given that T equals Ty, right? Then plus I naught minus IR plus G plus X. So X is all of this now. X naught, right? Then plus X1 exchange rate, then plus X2 function of foreign income YDF. So this minus imports. So imports is M naught minus M1, then exchange rate, right? Plus M2, then YD. So YD is eventually going to become this one too, Y minus TY. So if we proceed from here, Y equals C naught plus C1. I could collect Y out. So if I collect Y out, I have Y1 minus T, then plus I naught minus IR, right? Then plus G plus okay, everything here is just X, right? So let me just still denote this as X, not to waste our time, X. Then it is a minus. So if you have a minus M naught, I'm still denoting all of this as X, like the X that we have here. So minus X export minus import, so minus M naught, then minus times minus plus M1 ER, right? Then minus times plus, minus times plus, so minus M2, then collect y out, y into bracket 1 minus t. Okay, so what we are going to do now, we are going to bring, of course, I don't think you are new to these things. Everything that has y, you bring it to the other side, right? So investment does not have y in it, so we can just more or less leave investment as I. Okay, so just to make our work easier, so you have y equals, no, y, so here you have minus c1, c1y, so y minus t, right? So when all of this comes to this side, then which one has y again? Okay, minus m2y. So when minus comes to this other side, we have plus m2y, then 1 minus t. And we have the rest of this stuff. So we have plus c naught equals c naught plus. So since there's nothing like y here, so let's just like leave it, make it easy. So we have I plus c naught plus I, then government spending plus g, right? Then X doesn't have, X has a Y, but this is foreign disposable income, so not the one for our economy. We're looking at the Y for our economy, our own equilibrium national income, right? So plus G, then so I'll just leave X the way it is, X. So we are going to have minus M naught plus M as a result of exchange rate. So we're going to take this guy to the other side. All right. So collect items, so Y into brackets 1 minus C1, 1 minus T, right? Because C1 is holding this guy together. Then plus you take y away from here plus m2, right? Then 1 minus T. So everything equals to, if you decide to name all of what is here z, and decide to name all of the numerator z. So y is now going to be equal to that z, which represents c naught plus I plus g plus whatever, over 1 minus c1 into brackets 1 minus t, then plus m2 1 minus t. So this is the formula for your equilibrium, national income, right? In an open economy where you have an income tax, right? Not a lump sum tax, you have an income tax, and then exchange rate and all of those things, right? So how then do I get the government spending multiplier? The government spending multiplier is dy dg. So let me just rewrite. Okay, let me not make this is z. Okay. So if y equals changing it back to c naught plus I plus G plus X minus M naught, then plus MER. Okay, divided by 1 minus C1 into bracket 1 minus T plus M2 into bracket 1 minus T. So government spending multiplier is simply the change that will occur in the equilibrium national income, right? As a result of the change in government spending. The change that will occur in equilibrium, this is an equilibrium national income now because from the beginning you had y equals AE. So the change that will occur in equilibrium national income as a result of a change in government spending. So divide the G, if you look at this is the only place you have G. All of these are now constants from your normal differentiation. So if you have 5 plus x, so when you differentiate, what you are going to have is 1. 5 becomes 0. So you are differentiating x, you have 1. So here, this is going to give us 1 over 1 minus C1 into bracket 1 minus T, then plus M2 into bracket 1 minus T. So that's it. So this is going to be our government spending multiplier. Government spending multiplier. Alright, so for other books that you may be reading, your C naught here is your marginal propensity to consume. So it may be given as B, right? B. Then the M here, our M, we had an M2 here because we made M, what do you call it now? We opened up imports, right? And we made it, we kind of looked at the determinant of import. So we looked at disposable income, domestic disposable income, and then the exchange rate. So that's why this is M2, right? So for some books that you may be reading, it may just be M. So like this is now going to be 1 minus B, right? Into bracket 1 minus C plus M then into bracket 1 minus t, and so that's going to be it. So what's the implication of this? So this is telling us that if the government spending, okay, now let's do it. So if the government spending were to change by a certain amount, right, the change that is going to be happening in y is 1 over all of these things. And then if you from theoretically, C1 is a value between 0 and 1. It's never equals 1, right? And then your tax rate is not going to be 1. Your tax rate is definitely going to be lesser than 1, maybe 40% tax rate, whatever. Then your marginal propensity, this is marginal propensity to import. Marginal propensity to import, right? So we don't expect marginal propensity to be to import. It's also going to be between 0 and 1. Are we following? But then C1 can be like 0.65, right? And then M2 is not expected to be as high as your C1. Are we following? So M2 is not supposed to be as high as your C1. So like this is going to be a decimal, like something lesser than 1. That's what I mean. So maybe like 0.3, 0.2, 0.35, whatever. And this is going to be like a 0.65. Then this can be like a 0.345 as well. So when you look at it, at the end of the day, 1 minus a decimal here, multiplied by another decimal here, then plus decimal, 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 whatever. So we might be having like 1 minus, maybe everything can give us like 0.8, right? So if you do 1 minus 0.8, so that's going to be 1 divided by 0.2. Then your multiplier is going to be 5. So what I'm just trying to say essentially is that this is 1 minus. By the time you have real values for C1, whatever, whatever, everything is going to give you 0 point something. It's not going to be 1, and it's not going to be more than 1. So everything will give you 0 point, because each of these components is not equal to 1, right? So C1 is not 1, like T is not 1, like M2 cannot be 1. You understand? So when you sum up the whole thing, it's going to give you a decimal. So 1 minus that will give you like 0 point something. So by the time you divide 0 point something by 1, you'll be getting a value of maybe 1 point something, 2, 3, 3 points, whatever. So this is just trying to tell you that if the government spending should change by, let's say, 100 billion, right? So the change in equilibrium income would be 100 billion multiplied by this multiplier, right? So a change in dy, is going to be 1 over 1 minus c1, 1 minus t, plus m2, 1 minus t, everything like this, then multiplied by dg. So there's a positive relationship, there's no minus, there's a positive relationship. All of this will give you a decimal. 1 minus that decimal will give you another decimal denominator, there's no minus. So there's a positive relationship between government spending and equilibrium income. That's the interpretation. There's a positive relationship between government spending and equilibrium income, right? So that's for government spending multiplier. So let us move into, if we still have the time, let us move into tax multiplier. So we talk about tax multiplier, and then we are going to look at the balance budget multiplier. Okay, so we may talk about the income tax rate in another video because it's kind of long and technical. All right, so I don't want to begin to erase a lot of things. So tax multiplier, this was our initial solution for the government spending multiplier. So we are starting with lump sum taxes. So in this case, T is not equal to TY, right? So T is just T. Okay, it's not an income tax. So lump sum tax, lump, in case you'll be wondering, lump sum. So we are adding two things together. So lump sum tax, right? So in that case, so wherever we had ty initially, we are going to change it to just t. So in this place, we have the ty. We have ty here. So this is just going to be t. So this is going to be t, right? Then on and on we continued. Then so here, this is also going to be t. Maybe I should put it in green. Okay, so this is t. Then this is going to be t as well, right? So by the time we get here, so C1y, so we're going to be having C1y, then erase this. So C1 multiplied by y is C1y, then minus C1 multiplied by t, C1t, right? Then the same thing here. Instead of, so this is already t, so M2 multiplied by y, M2y, then M2 multiplied by minus t, minus M2t. We have minus minus m2t. Okay. Um, on and on minus. So when export minus, so it affected minus m naught, then plus this one, then minus m2. Okay. So now we're having where is it? Minus export minus import. Export minus m naught, which is minus m naught, minus times minus. That gives us a plus whatever. Then minus times plus of this minus m2y plus m2y. Then minus times minus, this is meant to be by plus m2t. Okay, plus m2t. So when we get here, this is, so we are going to be having changes from here. Okay, we're going to be having changes from here. All of this is just all about playing with algebra. All right, so income equilibrium income is now going to be uh, y y this is the unit normal minus c1y, right? Then this is the other one that also has y, then plus m2y. Now equals all of these things, right? So you have c naught, then plus c naught minus c1t. Okay, then I can just leave this one as plus I plus g plus x, right? Minus m naught, then plus m1er, then plus m2t. Okay, so now we have collecting items y equals 1 minus c1, then plus m2. Okay, then equals to all of these things. So now I'm going to put like tags beside each other. So we have c naught, then plus I plus g plus x minus m naught, then plus m1 er. So I have minus c1t, then plus m2t. Okay, so more or less I'll make this whole thing, the remaining parts, apart from this one that has tax, the lump sum tax, I'll make the remaining parts to become a constant like I said. So y now equals z, so then minus c1t plus m2t, now divided by 1 minus c1. Let me write this variable c1. So 1 minus c1 plus m2. So you are going to be, when you are going through your books, 1 minus b plus m, some of your books. So we are still talking about the same thing, right? So after this, then I can just say, because I'm trying to look for the tax multiplier, which is divide dt, I can just say y equals z, then I collect items minus t into brackets c1 minus m2, play with algebra, minus times this will give us minus c1 back, then minus times this one will give you plus m2t back. Now divided by 1 minus c1 plus m2. Okay, so if you want to do the tax multiplier, which is looking at change in equilibrium income as a result of a change in the lump sum taxes. So whether there's an increase in the tax or there's a reduction in the tax. So divide it, z is a constant, so it disappears. So what I'm going to be having a minus t here becomes a minus 1. So I have minus c1 minus m2, right? Then divided by 1 minus c1 plus m2. Okay, so if you look at it, normally speaking, theoretically, MPC will be more than the marginal present to import, right? So this might be like an 0.6, and this may be like a 0.15. You still have to save. Okay, so if, when you do that, this will be greater than this, theoretically. So when you do that, then there's a minus in front of it. So like the whole numerator becomes a minus. Let's be like minus 0.4 or something. Then this one is will be minus 0.4. Then all of this one down will be like 0.2. So minus 0.4 divided by 0.2, that will give you minus 2. So the implication of this is just telling that the relationship that tax has with equilibrium income is inverse, right? It's inverse. That's why you have a minus here. So the change in y, so the change in y as a result of change in taxes is going to be, this is what we have here now is the tax multiplier, minus C1 minus M2 divided by whatever, that's the tax multiplier. So you have minus C1 minus M2, right? Now divided by 1 minus C1 plus M2 multiplied by change in taxes, right? So when there is a change in tax, if the tax should increase, right, you would expect that equilibrium income or equilibrium GDP will reduce because of this minus here. And the fact that MPC would always be greater than your marginal presence to import. Do you understand? So, and then if there is a reduction in your tax, then you expect that your equilibrium, what do you call it now, income or GDP is going to increase. Okay. Now, if your economy happens to be a closed economy, so what then is going to be your tax multiplier? You will not have M2 and M2 because you had imports because your economy was open. So in that case, you're just going to be having minus C1 divided by 1 minus C1. In some books, you just have a minus B over 1 minus B. Okay, so that's what you're going to be having. So like, just note all of these things. So that's the implication. So I think we are running out of time. So in our next class, we will talk about the balance budget multiplier as well as the proportional tax multiplier. I don't no no that's not what I mean. Income tax multiplier. Yeah. So thank you. No assignment, no assignment. This is enough headache for you to practice with, right? So no assignment, just go and enjoy yourself. See you in the next class. Have fun.